Hey everybody, Joseph Mwamba here, and this is Top 5 Shows If. I've been incredibly stoked about how we performed on Sunday at the World Cup. And I've got to thinking, how do I celebrate this awesome celebratory thing? And I said, well, let's watch a sports show. Which got me thinking, what would be considered the top 5 shows that actually are sports themed? So let's get ready with the top 5 shows if you're into sports. Kick it off with our number 5. The show is called Blue Mountain State, starring a guy who is a junior backup quarterback, and pretty much he kind of lives to be the junior backup. He doesn't want to be the starter. He kind of wants to get the advantages of not working hard at all, and at the same time have the perks of being on a football team. One of the things that distinguishes this show from any other sports franchise or any other sports series is that it is plainly meant for the college kid. Of course, you have the backup quarterback, whose best friend is also his half-brother, who's the mascot, and of course, who has a crush on the cheerleader. And of course, there's the defensive captain that's actually an airhead. Like, everybody has and fits in their own kind of caricature, but at the same time, like, you know it's a caricature, and the show knows it's a caricature. If you're not into the childlike college type of humor, this is not the show for you. However, if we're talking about top 5 shows, I gotta say that you gotta throw Blue Mountain State right up there with them. Blue Mountain State is number 5 on my top 5 list. So my number 4 is White Shadow. White Shadow stars Ken Howard, who actually plays Ken Reeves. So he plays for the Chicago Bulls, and eventually he ends up sustaining a career-ending injury. He gets hired by a high school to become the high school basketball coach. And of course, he is white, and he goes into a school that's predominantly black and Latino. He wants to be able to give advice to these kids. However, the other side is these kids are kind of like, this white person does not know what I'm going through because it's 1978 and there are tons of African American Latino issues that he can't really ever discuss ever. It actually does a really good job getting all the issues that were discussed in the late 70s, early 80s that every African American and every Latino and every white person had to go through. And it actually does a really good job, not, underplaying it, but at the same time not making it overly dramatic. And of course, they still have the basketball team they have to deal with. And the show really holds up very well, and that's why my number 4 show is White Shadow. Number 3 is actually a show that's currently running on FX called The League. In Chicago, there's these 5 to 6 friends that actually are idiots. And these idiots actually have a fantasy football league that they play every year. They are very competitive about it, but that's kind of where the sports side of things end. It's kind of 10% of the show. I actually discussed this show as my number 5 show on the top 5 shows if it's Father's Day, so I won't go too much into it. It's one of those raunchy shows, again, that if you're not into inappropriate humor, this is not the show for you. But I have to say that The League is probably one of the better written comedies out there for anybody to watch. And so that's why my number 3 is The League. And number 2 on my list is actually a show on ABC that started in 1998, written by an amazing guy named Aaron Sorkin. We're gonna talk about my number 2 show, Sports Night. Sports Night is kind of like a 1998 version of Sportscenter, and of course it follows the anchors, the reporters, the producers, and even the owners of a network trying to struggle through not just the journalistic integrity of their broadcast, but also about their personal lives. And of course it has an all-star cast. Of course, you're talking about Felicity Huffman from the Desperate Housewives. You have Josh Charles, of course, of the Good Wife. You have Peter Krause from Parenthood. Actors like that, a writer like Aaron Sorkin. Don't be fooled by the fact that it only has 2 seasons. It is a phenomenal comedy. And because it's a phenomenal comedy, it's why it's at my number 2 on the list. Of course, everybody, my number 1 show is Friday Night Lights. Clear eyes, full hearts, can't lose. It follows everybody. Like, it follows everybody's personal lives as far as not just the team, not just the coach, not just the players, but the administration, the coach's daughter, the coach's wife, of the players' families. Like, it follows everybody, everything that goes on in the community in Dillon, Texas. I think that watching that show, when you grow up with the show, you're growing up with Coach Taylor guiding your hand, kind of going like, this is the way it is, son. This is what we do. This is how we play football. This is how you run your life. That's my Coach Taylor. Were you impressed? We're talking about Taylor Kish, who's now on True Detective. Like Connie Britton now on Nashville, Kyle Chandler now on Bloodline, and actually was in a couple films beforehand. Michael B. Jordan is a perfect example. Came season 4 and 5 and just blew the house down in performance. So you have music, you have crew, you have cast, you have writing. Friday Night Lights is by far the best sports show you can go out and watch. And so go and watch it. That's my #1 show, and that's my list of the top 5 shows if you're into sports. Is there a show that I missed? If there is a show that I missed, make sure you make a comment below. And if you like this list, or if you are new to Telemazing, make sure you subscribe to the channel as well. Otherwise, guys, that's my top 5 shows if you're into sports. I'm Joseph Mwamba. Thank you for watching. Now go watch some TV. We'll see you soon.